Howdy there, Isaac here. This series is now one of my longest running series, and when part 8 comes out, it will be the longest. Either way, this is the series that popped off and is largely responsible for the growth I've seen recently, so thank you guys for that. Last time we saw what happened when Beerus came to town. Now let's see how our Bugman handles Frieza's invasion of Earth. The story starts now. Months had passed since Beerus first arrived on Earth, and while Buu was the only one training with him at first, it didn't take very long for Cell, Vegeta, and even Goku to join in on the fun. And yes, even though Goku isn't alive, I believe he'd still be able to train on Beerus' planet. Besides, having another Super Saiyan God did have its advantages. Within weeks, Cell had been surpassed by the other three warriors, especially Buu, who had begun to tap into his latent God Ki. The Bugman wasn't all that worried though, since he wasn't that far behind. Sure, once the Saiyans went into Super Saiyan God, they surpassed him, but he knew he could catch up. The one thing Cell had above everyone else was his incredible endurance, allowing him to keep training long after Vegeta and Goku tired out. This not only helped during sparring matches, but whenever the two Saiyans had to sleep, Cell and Buu simply continued training. Though life wasn't all about training for the droid, something Zangia often reminded him of. The blue heroine was in constant communication with Cell, just in case she or Pui Pui couldn't handle whatever planet they landed on. However, it had been some time since she saw Mei, and wasn't too keen on allowing that to go on. She let Cell know that Finn already charted a course for Earth, and that the Bugman better meet her there. Now, while Cell was far stronger than anyone in his crew, Zangia still managed to strike fear into his heart. With Zangia's looming threat, and Cell also missing his daughter, the Bugman excused himself from Beerus' planet and teleported back to his spaceship. There, he had a nice shower and caught up with the crew. In the last month, Pui Pui had pushed himself quite hard, something that was reflected in his immense power. At this point, the Zune might be on par with Gohan or Soma. Maybe he should train with Beerus too. Well, that was quickly shot down when the spaceman said he'd find his own way to beat Cell, without having to rely on that God Key stuff. This made Cell feel pretty fired up, making him want to fight Pui Pui then and there. But that'd have to wait, as Finn said their ship was not a training chamber. Without training, the trip to Earth was pretty boring, but the group did have time to play Space Monopoly, though they threw away all the Frieza tokens. It took around a week to arrive on Earth, and once they did, the Bugman was greeted by Mei, Goten, and Trunks. Cell was a bit surprised, but Goten revealed he had some crazy sensory abilities due to his ki control, and sensed the android entering their solar system. So Goku's brat had been training too. Hopefully Gohan had kept up as well. By now he should be a pretty potent training partner. Oh, Cell, you're in for some disappointment. Anyways, while Cell and his crew spent time with Mei, Frieza is busy training. While he originally just trained with Tagoma, one of his newest recruits managed to improve Tagoma and Shisami, giving them massive boosts in power and allowing the tyrant to further improve himself. But that new recruit wasn't interested in improving all the soldiers. He actually had different plans, instead proposing they make an army of robotic servants, one stronger than the average soldier, and far more obedient. This got the tyrant's attention, and he allowed such an army to be created, though he made sure they weren't too strong, as to not undermine his own power. Once 4 months had passed, Frieza was more than confident in his ability to beat Goku and the others, and so he rushed to Earth to get his revenge. Back on the blue planet, Goten sensed a power that sent chills down his spine. While Janemba was chaos incarnate, this ki felt far more malevolent, as if it only existed to cause immense pain to others. The Saiyan child quickly informed his mother and even Gohan about this, but Cell was the second person to sense this ki, and he recognized it as well. Only a few hours before Frieza arrived, the Bugman informed the others, telling them Frieza had been revived. Everyone suits up as normal, except this time they have Cell, Pui Pui, Zongia, 18, and the kids with them. Originally, they didn't want Goten or Trunks to join the battle, but after seeing what they could do during the Janemba incident, the crew trusted them a bit more. Besides, from what they were sensing, the Z Fighters would need everyone they could get. Originally, Frieza only had 1,000 soldiers, but this time he has 10,000, thanks to his robotic fiends and some help from a very special benefactor. Once the assault begins, Cell immediately powers up and charges the tyrant himself, trying to end this as quickly as possible. While most of the soldiers could hardly react to Cell, the 10 royal guards stationed around Frieza quickly jumped in and blocked Cell's advance. This greatly surprised the Bugman, who began battling the faceless guards. While they couldn't put a dent on the android, he was having a hard time keeping them down, as they were pretty quick, using their long, flowing cloaks to mask their true movements. Meanwhile, the rest of the Z-Fighters weren't doing too much better. Mixed in with the regular soldiers were bionic commandos, clad in black and orange armor. Each commando easily gave the humans a run for their money and even had Pui Pui somewhat on the ropes. However, Roshi was the first one to discover their constitution was nothing like their speed and strength. One hit from the Turtle Hermit shattered the commando into a million pieces, revealing them to be nothing more than a robot. This discovery began to turn the tides, though not much, since many of the humans soon became too tired to keep up, and even Zongia and Mei were becoming overwhelmed. Cell, after finally breaking through the royal guards, launched a series of ki blasts to help the Z-Fighters, single-handedly taking out 1,000 soldiers. But that's when Tagoma used this opportunity to launch a sneak attack. Cell had a ki blast pierce his chest, momentarily paralyzing him. The sight of her father being hurt so badly, even if she knew he'd be okay, made Mei rage out, bulking up into her transform state and launching a Kamehameha that blew away a whole column of soldiers. Meanwhile, 18 and Zongia, seeing both Krillin and Cell struggling, decided fusion would be their best bet. In a split second, both Gotenks and Lazulia appeared, and in the next second, an army of ghosts and web of psycho threads assaulted the remaining 7,000 soldiers, easily taking out hundreds at a time. Frieza, irritated at this display, ordered Tagoma and Shisame to charge the two. Tagoma takes on Gotenks while Shisame charges and headbutts Lazulia. Tagoma and Gotenks partake in a rather interesting duel, with both fighters revealing their techniques and showboating their fighting prowess. Due to their personalities being so similar, neither Tagoma nor the fusion were able to get an upper hand, especially since while the alien has a cunning side, Gotenks has an analytical mind, thanks to Goten. Lazulia, on the other hand, is having a pretty rough time dealing with Shisame. While he isn't exactly smart and tactical in his fighting approach, he makes a great matchup against the fusion. Lazulia keeps attempting to wind threads around the bull, but his assault gives her no time to formulate a plan to do so. Shisame simply keeps charging and hitting the fusion, pouring a massive amount of ki into each punch and doing some serious damage to her, even breaking her arm with his latest attack. Lazulia has no answer to these fierce attacks. She simply hopes she can hold this monster off until Cell or someone else can beat him. But that's when a sudden Destructo Disc flies by, scratching Shisame across the cheek. Lazulia looks over to see Krillin, beaten and bloodied, but still standing up, ready to fight. "Come on, 18, you got this! Show that guy who's boss!" Lazulia chuckled to herself. After 18 criticized Krillin for his lack of training earlier, here she was, just giving up. While Shisame was distracted, the fusion grit her teeth and reeled her hand back before landing a heavy punch to his gut. Shisame wasn't completely winded, but this did hurt him enough to take the fusion seriously. However, when looking at his opponent, she now seemed far more resolute and confident, something that slightly unsettled the bull. Shisame charged once more, yet Lazulia stood still, further unsettling him. But he knew one of her arms was broken and that her left side was now defenseless, allowing him to stay on course. Shisame expected the fusion to block with her right hand before kicking with her left leg in order to protect her left side, something he could easily block and counter. However, once she blocked with her right arm, Lazulia suddenly lurched forward and jabbed at Shisame's face with her left hand, something that should be impossible. As the bull was reeling back, he saw what allowed her to punch, something so simple yet powerful. Lazulia had covered her arm in psycho threads, acting as both a cast and club of sorts. The bull was a bit shaken now, but he knew this didn't change a thing. If he went all out, he could easily beat this earthling. Shisame powered up before charging Lazulia once more, the fusion flying down towards the ground and launching a ki blast, using the dust kicked up as a smokescreen. Shisame had somewhat learned to sense ki, but neither he nor Lazulia could sense each other in the smoke. However, somehow, the fusion knew exactly where Shisame was within the smokescreen, landing several punches and kicks on his frame. Finally, the bull had had enough, and used a ki to blast the dust away. However, once he did, Lazulia was standing right in front of him, a very visible red string around her finger. The brute attempted to pull his arm back to attack, but realized he wasn't able to, and that's when he saw the strings wrapped around his body. What? How did she... I see you had to sacrifice some brains to get all that brawn. It's pretty simple. While you were flying around and trying to hit me, I was wrapping these threads around your body. You fell right into my trap. Shisame tried to power up and break out of these threads, but the more he did so, the stronger they seemed to get. No, not only that, but the weaker he got as well. Within a minute, the bull could hardly stand, and was subsequently knocked out. While Lazulia was able to outsmart her opponent, Gotenks was having a far more difficult time. He had managed to injure Tagoma, but in turn received a pretty nasty burn to his arm. Truly, the two warriors were even in strength. However, the fusion did have one thing up his sleeve: his much more refined ghost warriors. Gotenks began blowing out kamikaze ghosts. 4 of them surrounded Tagoma, who got ready to blast them. However, the ghosts all began charging up attacks of their own, 2 of which using Kamehamehas, while the other used galley guns. Tagoma was about to jump away, but a few galactic donuts wrapped around him, holding the soldier in place as the 4 beams were launched. In a flash, Tagoma was fried, and while he was still able to fight due to his body of steel, he was now on the losing side. The rest of the Z-Fighters were doing pretty well, especially Pui Pui, who had taken out hundreds, if not maybe even over 1,000 soldiers by now. At this point, Frieza, who just watched his 2 strongest men get annihilated, was beginning to lose his patience. And once Gohan goes Super Saiyan due to the stress of the robotic commandos, Frieza becomes livid. Now, not only were his best men down, but the Z-Fighters also had another Super Saiyan on their team. The Emperor thought he had given his men more than enough time. Now he'd have to step in personally. Frieza, realizing Gohan is the son of Goku, quickly begins firing death beams into the Super Saiyan. But that's when a tail sprung from the earth and stabbed the tyrant in the neck. Frieza quickly grabs said tail, ripping it off and blowing it into smithereens, but that's when Cell burst from the ground and landed a devastating uppercut to the tyrant. Frieza quickly recovered, wiping the blood from his lip and transforming before Cell, causing all the organic soldiers to halt their fights. Even when only sensing the Emperor's resting power, Cell knew he likely rivaled the power Vegeta had attained, possibly even Buu. However, he also knew power of this magnitude wouldn't go unnoticed. Vegeta, Buu, and possibly even Beerus were likely on their way. Now all Cell had to do was hold off this monster. Oh look, it's the creature who helped Vegeta fend off the armies of Hiffle. Well, I learned from that little experience. Super Saiyans are nothing compared to the power I now have. And neither are you. I shall squash you like the bug you are. Huh, As if I've never heard that line before. Come on, Frieza. You need to come up with something a little cooler. The Emperor, having lost any and all patience now, decided to charge Cell, the two clashing in the middle and staring each other down. The droid could tell his opponent was stronger than himself, but not by too much, and this got his Saiyan blood boiling. While Gohan led the charge against the remaining commandos, Cell began fending off Frieza. Whilst the Emperor hit harder than he did, this was something the Bugman had become accustomed to. Months of fighting Buu had hardened his body, allowing him to take heavy blows and continue fighting. While Frieza was, for the first time since fighting Goku, taking some pretty serious damage. Not only was this bug creature able to keep up with him, but now he was actually putting scratches on him. Just who was he, and how did he even get this strong? While Frieza didn't want to use his golden form, he also didn't like being on even terms with anyone. However, just as he blasts Cell away and is preparing to transform, somebody yells out to him, "Frieza, save your strength for the Saiyans. Allow me to take on 22. The others wouldn't give us sufficient data, and that's required, as per our agreement." "Shut your trap. Once I transform, this bug will be nothing more than just that, a bug beneath my heel. The others will have to satiate your need for data." Frieza kept his eyes glued to Cell, but the same couldn't be said for the droid. He instead looked towards the man who put a hand on Frieza's shoulder, whispering something imperceptible to the Emperor. He had armor similar to the commandos, but his mask only had one eye hole, aimed directly at the Bugman. Whoever this was, they weren't robotic. They spoke and walked like a regular person, and their power could be sensed, albeit faintly, as if he were a ghost. Fine. I'll let you take this insect. But once Goku and Vegeta arrive, you better stay out of my way." This seemed to satisfy the man, who stepped up to Cell, an air of confidence and death permeating around him. He then opened up a piece of his armor, revealing a system of gears and cogs all spinning within him. He then grabbed a gear and wound it up several times. Cell attempted to make a sly remark, but the man ignored this jab, and once he was done winding up his gears, charged Cell with surprising speed. Before the Bugman could even respond, he was kicked and sent flying off into a nearby rock formation, shattering it into a million pieces. This guy was even faster than Frieza. Where in the hiffle had he come from? Wait, he had referred to Cell as 22. Could he possibly be? The Bugman quickly flew out of the crater and asked who this person was. "My name? It's hardly important. As I've gone by so many, my true name no longer exists. But if you must, you can call me 23, or Commander Violet. Pleasure to make your acquaintance." With the introduction of Violet and the Earthlings being up against a wall, that is where we're going to be leaving things for right now. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it if you tied up the like button, or maybe even sneak attack that tyrannical subscribe button. But even if you don't, thank you for getting this far in the video. Unfortunately, I'm now aiming at getting one video out a week, something which had really helped my mental state, and while it may hurt my views and growth, I don't mind so much. And as I'm sure some of you guys might see, I didn't get my Saturday video out. I want to get a video out every Saturday, but things happen as they tend to do, so unfortunately that didn't quite work out the way I wanted it to. But luckily, I do have 2 video scripts written, and so this one will hopefully be coming out Tuesday, and What If Tambourine Part 5 will come out Saturday. I know the Tambourine one doesn't get a whole lot of views, but hey, I mean, it's a video and it's out on Saturday, so not much else I can really do. Occasionally there will be 2 videos out a week, hopefully, but I can only try my best. I know I'm saying a lot of buzz, sorry. I can only do 1 video as the summer goes on. Once winter hits, I'm sure I'll have a whole lot more time on my hands, but for now, all we can really do is 1 video a week. Maybe 2 if we're lucky. I am looking at like streaming and stuff though, and once we hit 500, I'll definitely be doing some different stuff. I don't know if I'll be streaming by then. It'll probably be another month or 2 before I ever start streaming, and I would have to actually see people who want me to stream. So I'd probably play video games such as Bannerlord, or really long form games that are a little more on the relaxing side, don't take up too much brain power. So maybe like Bannerlord, CK3, maybe a couple of those other games that we haven't seen on my channel for a while. But yeah, I would play video games, and then I would talk about what ifs, or we could maybe even do something kind of like what Moscow does with his roundtable what ifs, where you guys can ask questions, and as long as they don't take too much thought power, I can like answer them with a quick like, well, this would probably happen. But anyways, enough of that. We're still growing and still on track to get to 500. We stopped growing for a little bit, but like always, you know, you don't get a subscriber for like 3 days in a row and then suddenly you get 5 in 1 hour. So we're at, I think, 572 as of the time of recording this. So that's really awesome. Did I say 5? I meant 400. Anyways, we'll probably hit 500 soon, and as soon as that happens, you guys already know exactly what's going to happen. I'm going to make a poll. I'm going to make a community tab thing. That'll be really awesome. But for now, I think all I can really do is wish you guys a good day or night wherever you are. That's it for now. Bye-bye.